Anyway, with this laughter and joy that's emanating from our heart and soul, we're keenly aware that as we are laughing, as we're smiling, we're releasing tonic chemicals that are just flooding the body temple, allowing for our immune system to be stronger, slowing down the aging process, allowing ourselves to have great coherence around the brain so that this instrument, this living light bulb, will be stronger to reveal the luminosity of pure spirit that is everywhere in its fullness. And that you're beginning to know, as we began to talk about last week, that in substance you have a triumphant spirit. Though at times you may be putting yourself down, though at times you may be identifying yourself as less than, you may be identifying yourself as merely human, you may be identifying yourself as the experiences that you have had in your interpretation of those experiences, as you are initiated onto a spiritual path with heart and with soul, and initiated into a spiritual practice that allows you to have insight after insight after insight and revelation after revelation into your real nature into being, you begin to be aware that you are a triumphant spirit, that you are a spirit that has a body. You're a spirit that has a mind. You're a spirit that perhaps has possessions or perhaps does not, but you begin to identify yourself differently. And in that moment by moment by moment identification, you become available to obtain the Word of God directly from the heart mind of the infinite, and that's called inspiration, and that you're living from inspiration rather than from the thought forms emanating from your personality construct and its limited perception, or no longer living from the thought forms moving through the social milieu that produces emotional contagion and things of that particular nature. You're living differently. You have a triumphant spirit. And you want to begin to understand that it is moment by moment initiation time for you. And it's initiation time for us as global citizens. Initiation is moving from one vibratory state to another, and it's oftentimes called a quantum leap. And a quantum leap is moving from one state to another without a vibration, without a ladder. Like there's nowhere to get, you can't really get there from here, but when you get there, there is here. It's a vibrational leap in consciousness. And so your spiritual practice, as we talked about last week, you are to at times enter into your practice as if you are in a moment of intense training. And when you're in a moment of intense training, there's always a second of exhaustion. There's a second of why am I doing this? Oh, I want to go to the top of the mountain. I want to do 14 peaks. But there's always a moment in which, oh my God, what am I thinking about? But as you continue to go through whatever training you need to go through in order to do that particular accomplishment, whatever it is that you set out to do, there's a moment where you transcend your limitations. And you go to another state, a kind of a spiritual second wind, a kind of a moment when you realize that what you thought your limit was simply the beginning of another state of awareness, another moment of expansion of your consciousness. And so you're no longer a drone, you're no longer a zombie, you're no longer the walking dead on the planet, just going, living day to day to day to day, hoping that you'll survive another day. No. Your spiritual practice takes you beyond your little self, your littleness, your little concept of yourself, and you become available to the Spirit of the living God that is always broadcasting its nature everywhere. And you begin to understand that you are a limitless being. A limitless being with a dynamic, triumphant spirit and the vibration of initiation. I remember at a particular time in my life a number of years ago, I was doing some very intense work. And I baffled put baffles in my garage and made it soundproof, and I'd go into my garage for hours upon hours every single day doing work upon myself. moving through the debris of unworthiness, the debris of self-recrimination, and just moving into embracing my own inner authority given to me by the Christ within. And I can remember after a period of time of doing this, I can remember going to sleep one night and I had this dream. And it was more than a dream. It was a lucid, awakened awareness. And I was traveling up this staircase. And when I got to the top of the staircase, I could hear this music. It was like this angelic music embracing me. And the voices were so pure and pristine. And they were singing, "Michael, you are golden. Michael, you are real." And I could feel this uplift of the spirit within me. And when I awoke, nothing had changed in the external world, but there was just this awareness that things that I had been holding on to as identity, things that I had been holding on to as perception, things that I'd been holding on to as limited belief, they had somehow been wiped away. And that I just had this deep feeling tone of my connection with the Spirit at a whole nother level. It was a moment of initiation, of moving to another state without a ladder, but there was a preliminary intensity of training of the mind, intensity of training of the body, intensity of training of intentionality that allowed for initiation to take place. Now, all of us are on the way to that kind of initiation. Right now, globally, we're in a state of initiation and moving from one state to another. And you can see the skinny branches of the new emerging as you see the dead wood of the old dying. You can actually see the future if you look hard enough. You remember just a number of years ago when the automobile company was trying to get rid of the electric car, and now, by 2030, 2040, most cars will be gasless or hybrids. I was privileged to go and witness the new beginnings of these homes that are being built. I went out for a meeting yesterday in Malibu, and the homes that are being built are 100% off the grid. I mean, it's not just solar power on top of your roof, calling it off the grid. Everything, the house creates 100 gallons of water a day out of thin air. The house turns all waste into ash that you can put into the ground. There's no waste. The house generates its own electricity from the sun. It's totally off the grid, and it's permitted in every single city in the United States right now. And so as they walked me through it, I could see the future of these homes being built. And it's like the next stage of where we are moving to. And I've always said over the years that everything is already here that's necessary for the next leap for humanity. It just needs a level of intentionality, willingness to move to the next stage, even though the old paradigm, as they tried to stop the electric car, the old paradigm would try to stop it. Progress will not be stopped, you see? And so as we are evolving spiritually, then outpicturing of that spiritual evolvement will take place in the manifest realm in terms of automobiles, in terms of cars, in terms of food, in terms of everything that is necessary for the human species to survive. It already exists on the planet. Now we're simply raising our consciousness so that the new paradigm that will prevail will have access through our hearts and our minds and to manifest with an ease and a grace so that you will not be fooled by the world of appearances, of lack, limitation, scarcity, not enoughness, disease, and all of that, which would have your mind going absolutely crazy with the world of phenomena. You are a triumphant spirit. And your work gives you a moment of initiation from one state to another. And the world is in that state now. And so you have the option of paying close attention to the world that is dying, or you have a greater option to pray and to meditate so that you can see the world that is emerging. And when you see that, and you become the living filament to that kind of a frequency, you are a very different being. The idea being, of course, that you are to be different without being indifferent, and to learn to witness and to celebrate. You want to do your work so well that you are different from the masses. That during this particular time in human history, when the masses are contracting, you want to expand. When the masses are hoarding, you want to share. When the masses are in fear, you want to be in the faith atmosphere. When the masses are holding fast to their opinions about the facts, you want to, as we did yesterday in the practitioner meeting early in the morning, you want to bracket your opinions so they don't obscure you from seeing the truth. Capital T, truth. God, presence of God is everywhere in God's fullness. God has never been not God. God does not go on and off. God is not sometimey. God does not have chosen people. God does not walk with a feeling or an emotions that human beings have. You see, emotions are the condensation of previously held points of view. God only has one point of view. Let there be light. Let there be beauty. Let there be intelligence. Let there be abundance. So you want to be different through the path of initiation, through the path of spiritual practice, but you do not want to be indifferent to the individuals that are still caught up in the slop and the sloppy thinking and the misperception of God being out there rather than right here. The misperception of a scarcity and lack that does not exist. I'll always remember that in 2008 when through the chicanery of bankers and the poor loans that were given and things of that particular nature that helped throw the economy for a loop. And the newscasters were talking about the dipping economy and lack and limitation and scarcity is womp, 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 womp. And I can remember going outside and asking Mother Nature what was happening. And Mother Nature was saying, avocados are still avocadoing. Collard greens are still collard greening. Grass is still growing. There's no lack anywhere. That's the immature human consciousness that is providing an immature economic system built upon lack and debt. So you have that particular experience, but it has nothing to do with reality. And there were individuals that broke through the miasma and the hypnotism of lack and limitation and progressed not only spiritually, but financially, health-wise, and every other wise, because they weren't caught up in the lie of separation, the lie of scarcity, the lie of lack, the lies that are constantly being broadcast. Those individuals were different. When individuals were contracting, there were individuals that were expanding. When individuals were hoarding, there were individuals that were sharing and circulating. When individuals were in fear, there were other individuals in faith. With individuals that were holding to their opinion, there were other individuals that were so prayed up that they transcended opinion and could see they could stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, the self-elevation of the law of life moving through each and every individual. Now understand this. As I said in the way of meditation service, there aren't any special people. There are just people who specialize. And so if someone is making sacred their time and specializing in healing, specializing in artistry, specializing in musicianship, eventually there's a mastership of that, and people will look upon them and say, oh, they're special. No, they've specialized. We're inviting you to specialize your attention. What comes out of your mouth in order pay attention. On this special people kind of thing. I remember a number of years ago, I went to this meditation retreat with Shinzen Young. And I forgot what state it was in, but we flew in, and you had to check in, and then they gave you a room assignment. And so the first sitting and teaching was about to begin. So I go to my room assignment, and when I open the door, there's a lady in the room. And they had inadvertently given us the same room. And so she was all nervous about it. No, I can't have a man in my room. I said, no, I don't. I'm sure this is a mistake. They're not trying to put us in the same room. This is just a mistake. We'll go to our sitting, first meditation sitting, and then we'll go to the front desk and get this cleared up. And she said, no, you can't put your bags in here. You can't be in here. And she was just really anxious. The anxiety level, she needed the meditation retreat. The anxiety level was high. I can't have a man in my room. I said, listen, okay, let me just put my bags out here. I'm going to go sit, but I'm going to keep my bags here, and then we'll work it out. So anyway, we go through the first sitting, and Shinjin Lung notices me. He says, we have the honor of having Reverend Michael Beckwith in our meditation retreat here. How you doing, Michael? God bless you. So I go in my room, and she says, you can stay. She said, no, we can share the same room if you want. I said, no, we're good. But suddenly, I went from nobody to a special person. You know what I mean? Oh, no, here, you want to sleep here? It's fine with me. So she projected all this specialness on me because Shinjin Young, said, there aren't any special people. They're just individuals who have specialized their attention. You see, and their day-to-day practice, what comes out of their mouth, brackets their opinion for periods of time that it doesn't obscure them from seeing that which is real. We want to be different from the masses. When during this time of fear, we want to do our work so well that we're in the faith conviction atmosphere. During this time of contraction, we want to ask, how can I expand today? During this time of hoarding, we want to ask, how can I circulate and share today? You see, during these last couple of years, Agape expanded its services. We did not contract. During this last couple of years, we expanded our giving to other nonprofit organizations that needed assistance because people had stopped giving during this particular time. You see, we expanded, we gave, we're staying in faith atmosphere. We bracket our opinion so that we can stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stand still and see our own self-elevation by evoking the law of life. This is what we're asked to do. It doesn't mean one-off. It doesn't mean using God as 911. Just when you're having in a state of, oh, God, please, you get on your knees, everything's going bad. It's talking about 411 too. Get some good information. Get some good knowledge, some good wisdom flowing through you on a regular basis so you don't have to go to 911 all the time, so that you're prayed up. You're being influenced by the presence on a daily basis. So it is in that consciousness as we're celebrating Black History Month, which, of course, many of you may not know this, but the original idea of Black History Month as it emerged at Kent State from the Black Student Union there with, his name will come in a second. Originally, it was a year of study and practice. And then in February, there would be a display of what people had learned. It wasn't relegated to 1 month. It was an entire year of studying history where African Americans had contributed. And then February, and the reason February was chosen is because Frederick Douglass was born in February. It'd be a month of display of everything that the students learned. And then it was hijacked and it became a month called Black History Month. And some mayor somewhere is trying to turn it into Black Heritage Month. Cut it out. Anyway, but as I think about that, and we think about a good individual to spotlight today would be George Washington Carver, one of our ancestors, our vibrational ancestors here at Agape, a great mystic, great teacher. And for those who are ignorant about George Washington Carver, they generally relegate him to being a scientist of some kind. reasoning and things of that particular, experimenting. And he didn't do any of that, He was a scientist. But he would wake up every morning at 4 a.m, and he would commune with Mother Nature. He would commune with the ground, the trees. And so all of his offerings to humanity came from inspiration from his communion with the presence of God. Then he would go into his laboratory and prove what was given to him by God. And he said, in substance, that if you fall in love with something deeply, it will reveal its secrets to you. So he would fall in love with Mother Nature. He specialized in falling in love with Mother Nature, with the ground, with the soil, which is why he came with he created all those colors from clays, from the soil. And everybody thinks he's just dealing with the peanut. And the only reason he dealt with the peanut, because he said to God, God, I want to know the secrets of the universe. And the voice said, start with the peanut. And anyway, the peanut revealed to him all of the entire cosmos. And what most people don't know is during that particular time in history, the great ministries of that time that were emerging by white men, they were being taught at night by George Washington Carver. They would sneak. They had to sneak because it wasn't right for a black man to teach a white man anything. So they would sneak to his place at night, and then he would unveil the mysteries of the Christ consciousness. He was activated. He was at one with the presence and the power and the love of God. So when he trained these people, they were all activated. They could feel the presence. So when they got up to speak, you could feel the zeal that they had in their soul. But they were all his students, and no one knew it because it wasn't allowed at the time for a black man to teach a white individual anything. But he specialized in his connection with the presence of God. And now today, he didn't just deal with the peanut, he dealt with crop rotation. And if we could just go back to some of those basic things, then the ground would not be null and void, not having enough minerals and vitamins in the soil anymore for over mass production in the ways that the corporate takes over the land and gives out this anemic food at times. Anyway, sometimes people would say he's ahead of his time. No, I always say, no, people like that aren't ahead of the time. They're not in time. It's the timeless moving through them. And the timeless is right anytime, you see. And so when we think about ourselves, what distinguishes you from George Washington Carver? He had to practice every single day. He fell in love with Mother Nature every day. He listened every day. The secrets were revealed to him because he fell in love with the presence, you see. You fall in love with the presence. You fall in love with the teachings. You fall in love with the truth. You fall in love. It's like this. You've all had a moment where you've been radically infatuated with somebody. And for some strange reason, you always had time to call them. In between breaks, you called it, hey, how you doing? Hey, you just talked to me 5 minutes ago. I know, I just want to hear your voice, What if you fell in love with the presence that way? Every few moments. I love you, God. The ground upon which I'm standing is holy. God is here. The tree that's bending towards me is the presence of God bending towards me. The flowers are singing and shining. They're smiling at me. That's the presence of God. What would happen is the mental debris that you're sometimes seduced, provoked, or intimidated into would begin to dissolve. And you would see the human comedy. You would be able to look at the news and not laugh at people, no. But you'd be suddenly aware that those guys giving the news, they're actors. They're not like news commentators for real. Many of them aren't doing any of their own research. You know how you can tell? You just go to every single news outlet. They're all saying the same thing with the different little versions. It's all like piped in so that you are living in a particular paradigm, a particular narrative, an agenda, not your own. I want you to do your work so well that you hear that you have a triumphant spirit, that you are a triumphant spirit, that you hear that you are golden, that you are real. You want to hear that for real from the depth of your being. And then you'll be different, but you won't be indifferent. The compassion and the kindness and the generosity and the patience for the uninitiated and for those who aren't awake yet, you just love them up. Even if you have to love them up from a distance, you'll love them up. Whew. Sometimes I got to do sound effects, I'm sorry. Sometimes. That's the way it is. You know, there's beyond words here, okay? So catch the arc. Triumphant spirit. It's initiation time. I want you to be different. Remember those particular billboards that had think different? And they had King, and they had Gandhi, and they had His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and, you know, people that thought differently in our time. Mother Teresa, you see. Again, we assign specialness, okay? But they specialized. Mother Teresa specialized in seeing the Christ in every being, you see. They specialized. I want you to be different from the masses. But I don't want you to be indifferent. Don't close your heart to anyone outside of your own echo chamber. Don't close your heart to anyone that doesn't agree or see the world exactly the way you do. Or we won't be able to build the beloved community. And you'll see what falls off is judgment. You'll be able to judge righteously, called discernment, but without the undertow of projection onto another for such a time as this. Triumphant spirit, initiation. Be different, but not indifferent. So you'll be able to witness and to celebrate. You'll be able to witness the world of phenomena and all of its swirl. At the same time, stand in the vibratory frequency of celebrating the I Am presence in the midst of you. In the same way that when you're practicing meditation, you can witness the swirl of thinkingness in your own mind. All those errant thoughts and points of view and positionalities and arguments and conversations, you'll be able to witness it, but not be of it, and celebrate the divine in the midst of you. It will transfer over to the world. Well, you see all this stuff going down, but you'll be able to stand in the frequency of celebration because you know that the presence of God is for you and there's nothing against you. Not merely believing it, but knowing it through spiritual practice, providing insight and revelation and unfoldment. Whew. This is our time. Don't be fooled by the world of phenomena. Don't be snagged by doomsday prophecies. Don't be snagged by the next great thing you're supposed to be worried about. Stop it. Take back your mind. Take it back. And the only thing you want flowing through your mind is the word of the Spirit of the living God. And you'll be different. You'll be weird. But you know what? You do not want to be sane in a sick society. You don't. You don't want it. You want to be different. You want to be different, you see. You want to be different. They used to call me squirrely because I was so weird. I mean, but now the world is caught up. I'm cool. You all come to see me now. but back in the day, I was thinking about our brother James Hassan, who just recently made his transition, and we met at, we both worked for a city councilman. I worked for the city councilman for 5 years, and I ran the senior citizen division for the district. And James thought I was the weirdest guy he had ever met. He would say, "You don't eat no meat?" He said, "What do you eat, man?" And there was a place next to the field office called Sisters. And I'd go over there, and every afternoon they'd have me a great avocado sandwich, these grilled vegetables, you know. He said, "You can live off of that?" He thought I was so weird. And he was seeking to pass the bar at the time. He had failed it a couple of times. And I said, I can help you pass the bar. And you got to know James. He said, "You're an attorney?" Yeah. I said, "No." He said, "My father is, but that's not what I'm talking about. You're going to help me pass the bar. You're not even a law student." I said, "Just do what I say. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work." He said, "Okay." And so I gave him these affirmations, and I gave him these meditative practices. I gave him all this stuff to do while he was studying again, and I gave him what to do before he took the test. And so then he passes the bar. That's luck. You didn't have anything to do with this. You know, I mean, he just thought I was the weirdest guy in the world. But eventually, he came over and he became so inundated with the spiritual teachings that he ultimately became a practitioner and a minister, etc. But I'll tell you this funny James Hassan story. I'm just feeling him right now. I'm loving him so much. So we're talking about herbs, and he thought I was weird. You know, all this stuff is in now, but you got to go back to the 70s, okay? And I'm telling him about licorice root and the benefits of it, and blah, blah, blah. So one day I needed a pen. And so I just reached into James's desk to get a pen, and there's these boxes of licorice candy in his desk. I said, "What are you doing with all this candy, James?" He said, "You told me to buy licorice." I said, "Not licorice candy, licorice root, the real root." I don't know why this is flowing through me now. I guess, James, hey, man, we're loving you up, okay? I was different. I was a weird dude back then. Now the world is caught up. New Thought, Ageless Wisdom is all over the world. These teachings are all over the world. But we need more practice, not just memorization. We need more practitioners. I'm not talking about licensed practitioners unless you're called into that. We need individuals that, as I was saying this morning, just as we have a social contract to wash our hands when we go to the restroom, and now you wash it 6 times because of a virus. Some of you, 18 times in 5 minutes. I'm not laughing at you. And then you go out and squirt something on it again. Anyway, just as we have a social contract of cleanliness, showers and baths before you go out into the public, we have to have a social contract that says, I'm not going out of my house until I make contact with God, until I do my meditation, my prayer. I don't want to just go out into the world with a dirty interiority, foaming and frothing and opinionated and negative and judgmental. I want to develop a social contract that I'm going to make contact with the presence every single day. Then I go out clean. And then before I go to bed at night, I clean myself up again. So that all little hurts and minor infractions, and I don't go to bed with that. I go to bed prepared to fly on the wings of the Holy Spirit, even as the body is sleeping. Be different. Not indifferent. Be different. And then witness and celebrate. I'm telling you. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. No. I'm just, Reverend Kathleen says, no. She's heard me for 20 years, wants me to keep going. I'm telling you, when you touch, Reverend Joanne, when you touch the hem of the garment, you touch that frequency. You're never satisfied until that is where you are living. Be different, be weird, be out of the box, be creative. Don't walk lockstep, zombie-like, The Walking Dead. I'm telling you this. I tell you I was going to stop, didn't I? Try this experiment. Don't watch the news for just 7 days. You can go longer. You can go 14, you can go 21, whatever. And watch the debris that spins out of your mind and watch you being able to see a different world. I'm talking about not watch it, but also do spiritual practice. And you'll see a lot of the issues that you're afraid of gone from your life. Seduction, provocation, intimidation, gone. Freedom. Shoo, shoo, shoo. And instead of somebody else giving you your opinion, direct pipeline from the presence, baby. Be different, not indifferent. Let's turn within in this moment. Let's feel into the frequency, into the vibration of a high state of gratitude. Let's feel the gratefulness take over our life. You can do this and you can be this vibration. Just consider something to be grateful for. Come into the gratitude factor. The field of it. Come. Put a little smile on your face. Be grateful that you're alive. Be grateful that you're awake. Be grateful that you exist. Just this little bit of gratitude allows for the perceptual windows to be cleaned and clear. Oh, I see. What did Meister Eckhart say? I see God through the same eye that God sees me. You see differently. Not only you see differently, you think differently, you're different. You're weird to some people. Your ability to recognize the Spirit is increased. God is everywhere. Everywhere. Your oneness with God becomes an insight, a revelation. It's not merely a belief system that you repeat. It becomes a frequency of, oh my God, closer, closer, closer than my breathing, nearer, nearer, nearer than my hands and feet. He said, oh, the Quran, God is closer than my neck vein. Becomes real. Becomes real. The word is spoken from this dynamic for each and every one of us that we may be free today. That the vibration of health is moving through us like never before. That every organ, action, function of the body temple is made every whit whole. Our body can heal anything under the right conditions. Excuse me. Our mind is the right condition right now. We are conditioned for health. We are conditioned for well-being. We are conditioned for wellness, vitality, vigor, flexibility, strength, fortitude, endurance. Oh, our spirit is triumphant. Oh, say it. Our spirit is triumphant. Our spirit is triumphant. Oh, our spirit is triumphant. They couldn't keep George Washington Carver down. Say it. He's rising right now, saying, fall in love, and their secrets will be revealed. Come on. What you got, Brenda?
this morning. I believe. 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 Yes, I do. Oh, I believe this morning. Change is happening this morning, right now, right here. So people get ready. People get ready. There is a change coming. You don't need the baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear those diesels humming. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord, because I really do believe this morning. I believe. Oh, yes, I do. Everything's gonna be all right. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. Ooh, I believe.
Ooh. People get ready. There's a train coming. Don't need no baggage.
Don't need no baggage.
Just get on board.
You
get on board.
Just get on board.
Get on board.
All you need.
What you need?
Faith to
Faith.
hear.
All you need is faith.
Hear those
All
Jesus
you
coming.
need is
Hear
faith.
those words of truth. You don't need no ticket.
No ticket.
You
just get on
thank
board.
the Lord.
You thank the Lord and get on board.
Don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord. I don't care where you come from.
No.
You don't need no ticket.
No.
It's where you're going. You just thank the Lord. Oh, I believe.
Feel it. Let your heart embrace your triumphant spirit.